Question number 8 wants us to write a query to identify the single track that has no composer and is on both the grunge and the 90s music playlist. First, let's see what tables we need to link together. So we need to find playlist. It has a playlist ID. So we find the table it links to, which is playlist track. It also includes a track ID. So we need the track table added, and I find that track has the composer column that we need to check for null. So to tackle this problem, I'll first just see if I can get the track name and the composer, only the ones that are null. So we'll start with from. I'll either start with playlist or track. I'll start with playlist. We'll do PL for playlist, and we need to join the playlist track. I'll abbreviate it PT for playlist track. They connect on the playlist ID. Next, we need to join the last table, which is track. I'll abbreviate as T. Track ID joins the playlist track and track tables together. As you see as I'm typing, I see the track ID has a key beside it, and I see the track table also has the key beside it, so that's how I'm linking them together. Now I can select the proper columns. I want to see the track name, and also want to see the track composer. And for now, I want to see the playlist name. I'll start by narrowing it down just by one. It says where the composer is null. The composer column is in track, so I have to put a T in front of it to abbreviate for track. So where a composer is null. I'm going to go and execute and see if this works. So I'll list all of the tracks where the composer is null. So that works. I now don't necessarily need to see the composer column because it's the same for every single row. The question doesn't ask for or to display the name of the playlist. So whether it be 90s music or grunge, so I really just need to list the name. I end up with well over 2,000 columns. The question says there's a single track that has no composer and is on 2 different playlists. So let's try to narrow down. From here, I would think that I would need to put an and. And within parentheses, it would look like that I might need to check to see for grunge and 90s. So playlist dot name like, and there's an apostrophe in the 90s, or a single quote. That's also an escape character. So instead of going and trying to spell out 90s music, I'm just going to put 90 and a percent sign because I didn't see any other playlist that started with 90. Let's go and execute this selection. Let's see, I've now narrowed it down to 167. I also want to see where that it's like grunge, so I can use or the PL name like grunge. I'll execute the selection again and come up with one more, 268. So I think that I've about got it. What would I want to do? I'm thinking now that I might want to group by the name and whether the name would have a count of more than one. However, I'll run into an error. I'll have two tracks show up. So if I try to group by name and then find where that we have a title that is on more than one playlist, and I execute it, it comes up, and on purpose there is a foreign music, Brandisomo, French it looks like, and it shows up, but it is actually on the 90s playlist twice. The song is two different links, so it's not on grunge, or it's not on the grunge playlist. So how do we work around that? Instead of writing the query like this, we'll go ahead and eliminate the group by portion. We'll change this to an and. And what did I want to do? I want to run almost the exact same query. But this time I want to look for the name of the tracks that are in the grunge playlist. So I'm basically going to copy this entire select statement. And for now I'm going to paste it here on a second line. So I want where the composer is null and the PL name is like grunge. So if I execute that, I get a list of all the titles, which could be more than one. In this case, there is only one. I list all of the titles that are on the grunge playlist with no composer. So what I can do, I can use an in predicate if this happened to be multiples. I've already found all of the tracks that are part of 90, but I also want to find where the name is also on the grunge playlist. So that's how I'm going to tackle this. There's multiple ways to tackle this problem, but I'm going to add an and here, and instead of looking at the playlist name, I want to look at where the track name is like. And I'm going to get rid of this closing parentheses and move it down, but I'm going to change this from like to in. Sorry about that. It should be in. Open a parentheses. Come down here to the bottom and close the parentheses. And notice how the end parentheses is closed. I'm going to need to do one more closing parentheses so that it closes here. So what I'm doing, this second right here, it lists all of the track names that are on grunge. And so I've already listed all the track names that are in 90s. So I'm going to compare if it's on the 90s playlist and the name is also included in the grunge playlist, then it should only come up with one output when I run these nested select statements together. So running both select statements together, I come up with hunger strike. So this here is probably one of the, I wouldn't say simplest, but nested selects is kind of complex, but one of the possibilities of answering this, I've seen this question answered multiple ways in the past, but I believe pulling a list and then pulling a second list and using the end predicate works the best in this situation. So I may move this and down to make it look a little bit better for you and put the select statement up here at the top. So the end predicate is running this entire select statement to come up with the list of tracks that are on the grunge playlist. So all of the tracks have to match the name that is in the list of all the tracks that are on the 90s playlist. In our case, Hunger Strike is the only one that's in grunge and in the 90s playlist. So I hope this helps. You understand this question a little bit better. And hopefully you worked pretty hard, it looks like. Some of y'all turned in stuff in. Some of you couldn't get your Postgres to connect to your DB Forge Studio. So maybe we can get those worked out later on